Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Chilidogcast. This is episode 2, the Chilidogcast, where we talk about hot and spicy topics and dog the idiots of the internet. I'm your host, FoxPlaysOfficial. Joining me, my co-host, SuperPretzelPunch. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? Fox, I know you went out this weekend. How was the traffic?
Pretzel, no, we don't ask stupid questions on the channel, because on this channel we task the big deep digging questions, alright? So, Pretzel, on the agenda...
The big deep dicking questions.
Yeah, I did say dicking, didn't I? Oh, well. I told you there's going to be more laughter in this podcast. There's going to be more dick jokes. Now, everyone, so Pretzel, what's on the agenda for today?
Today, we are going to talk about categories on Twitch, how to choose categories, looking through categories. That's going to be a question from the audience. Okay. We're going to talk about the Ubisoft forward, quote-unquote forward. Yep. We're going to talk about, kind of with the news about the Xbox digital-only console, we're going to talk about digital-only going forward, as well as physical media, and then we're going to talk about our Scrub of the Week. And our Scrub of the Week this week is cosmetic-only microtransactions. So the question, if you guys want to answer it in the Discord, the question for the audience today is, how do you feel about cosmetic microtransactions? Are there ones that you felt have been worth the extra price, or ones that you felt have been exploitative? So that's our agenda today.
And the ethics behind it as well, I guess.
Absolutely, yep.
All right, so we'll go to the first topic. So the Q&A from the audience, let's go. So Pretzel, the first question. So, now who submitted this question, and what's the question, Pretzel?
The question that was submitted today by our very own birthday girl, Fennel and Fiber.
Happy birthday, Fennel.
Happy birthday, Fennel. The question was, how do you feel about Twitch categories, and how accurate should one be when they choose the tag for it? Ooh. For example, retro versus the actual game name, subcategories like just chatting versus art and so on. And how important do you think category is when it comes to stream information? So I'll let you go ahead and take the first stab at it.
Yeah, sure. So if you guys know what a category is, just in case you don't know and you haven't been on Twitch for too long, or you're watching from YouTube, there is so basically on Twitch there is an option where you can search by category. So as in like what the actual stream is going to be about. Usually categories is game related. So I think the most, just to be easier, the most popular categories at the moment is you got Just Chatting, League of Legends, Valorant, Fall Guys, whatever like the big multiplayer games is. And then obviously the list just goes further and further down. Obviously the most popular category is at the top, which I believe is still Just Chatting most of the time. And then yeah. Now in regards to category selection, it's a double-edged sword, I guess. So, Twitch terms and conditions do state you do need it's actually against terms and service to put the wrong category. So, for example, if you're playing Mortal Kombat, but you've got it on Just Chatting, you could potentially get in trouble with that. And then you've got people like me who are cheeky bastards and put, say, Mummy Demastered as retro, even though technically the game came out 2 years ago, so it's not really retro as well. And so this comes to like an ethics kind of question in a way, or Cosmic Star Heroine. Exactly. That's jeez. Melindor's just throwing me under the bus, just throwing these guilty things I just did. God damn it. Because I'm getting Melindor. Anyway, so in relation to that, ideally, like if you're playing a small game, you probably want to name it after the game category, because obviously there's people out there on Twitch themselves going, oh man, I really wish someone's playing Cosmic Star Heroine right now, and you know what, they would have not seen me stream it at all because I was streaming under retro category. The reason why I did that was there's more viewers in the retro category per se. Technically the game's retro inspired, so I could play the technicality card right there, and I guess it gives people an opportunity to find it. Or putting the podcast on retro because you're the number one retro streamer as a host. That's also a good point there, Mocha.
That's very true.
Because yeah, and we could be talking about retro games right now. So yeah, there's not too much to say about categories, but yeah, what are your thoughts, Pretzel?
Yeah, it's interesting because like the problem is like that I run into is especially new releases, indie games and stuff like that. Like unless the indie game already has some hype behind it, like being in that category doesn't really help you unless people already know what they're looking for,
Yeah.
right? If I'm playing, I'll just make up a title of a game. Uh, I don't know, Ghost in the Content Thievery. Let's
Yeah.
say that I'm playing a game like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I found it and it's really cool and I'm really excited to play it. And I go in there. Let's even assume that the category is there because more often than not, it's not even there
Yeah.
for a small indie game.
I've been hit by that before.
Yeah, and so let's say I go in and I do find the category, so I do decide to do it. And the only way I'm going to get discovered is if people are specifically looking for that game or recommended. That's it. Um, and then, but the thing is also within one of the things I wanted to bring up because Fennel brought up just chatting. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but recently just chatting changed the way that you can search through that category. Um, you just if you guys don't know, in other categories you can sort by like high to low view, low to high view, recommended, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In just chatting, they got rid of the ability to search low to high. So the only options for just chatting are recommended and high to low. So there's really no benefit to even doing just chatting anymore, unless you know you're going to be bumped up into that category, or
Yeah.
unless you can assume that you're going to be recommended for some reason. Like just chatting is such it's there's no reason to do it unless you're already established in it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Here's my theory about why they did it. My theory is for a long time, just chatting was an easy way to get partners. And the reason why is because people go into just chatting and by default, more often than not, search low to high. Because the lower the audience that's watching, the more likely it is that you'll be able to interact with the streamer.
Dare I say, just chat
Uh,
with the streamer.
right, actually able to chat with the streamer. So what my theory is what happened is that a lot of people were getting
Easy partners.
partnership and stuff like that through just chatting because they would start in the low to high, in the lower area, and they would work their way up. They'd get partner. But now that you're partner, you're getting bumped down to the bottom of that low to high. So when people go into the category, they're not seeing you anymore. And so Twitch was giving away all these partnerships and things like that to people in the just chatting category, but then they weren't getting built upon, right? Once you hit that partnership and once you hit certain numbers, you weren't building anymore. You weren't growing anymore because people are still looking in the low to high. So now what they can do is they can do high to low and they can just do recommended. So Twitch can push just chatting streamers that they want to push through recommended.
Yeah.
Whatever their algorithm is. That's my theory about what they're doing.
Do you reckon we'll ever get an answer from Big Jeff Bezos ever?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Get an answer from Twitch. No, it's never going to happen.
No, it's not.
I've added Twitch about things on Twitter. I've emailed them. Never got a response. Ever. About anything, pretty much. One of the things, so here's another category. So just yesterday on my stream, as part of like a movie club, we watched a public domain film through archive.org. But what category do you stream that under? Right? So we could do just chatting, kind of.
Just
maybe.
Watching?
There's no just watching. So I think I found another category. I think I started in just chatting, but then my mod found a category called the movies. And the movies is actually a PC game called the movies, where it's like kind of like a movie studio tycoon game or something like that,
Oh.
where you build movie studios. But people in that category go there to stream public domain movies. So retro category used to be actually a game called Retro.
Yeah, ironically.
But yeah, so I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask was, do you think Twitch needs more broad categories? And what kind of broad categories do you think that it needs?
Well, I think the issue is with categories itself, because Twitch relies on popularity. For me being an indie game slut, I don't want to. I want indie games to be at the top of the page. I don't want freaking League of Legends and Dota 2 and Valorant, all the other, and Call of Duty and Fortnite at the top. I want Twitch to like push middle tier games, watch people watching that, and then the bottom stuff as well. And it's kind of crap in a way. My only thing is they really should just put like, I don't know, like broader categories. Maybe just even like a category called multiplayer games, and then maybe I don't actually know. I don't like putting that actually. I don't know. I don't think there's an easy answer. I don't think there's an easy answer to this question. Maybe someone else has got an idea. But
Afro Thunder said that there's a watch parties category. That's if you're using Amazon Prime watch parties.
Oh, okay.
That's what that category's for. And Duo mentioned that they broke up IRL. They did, but I guess my question is more for games. Should there be broader category for games like we have for retro? Are there other broad categories we can have? Because we have like games and demos and shit like that, right? But no one goes into games and demos. There's also the exploitation of categories that some people do. For example, Poppy brought this up to me. Yes, you. But then also, so like if I was going to play Yakuza 5, for example, I could stream under the category Yakuza 5. But there's more people streaming all of the Yakuza games under just the category Yakuza and not Yakuza 5.
So
it's more beneficial for me. Yeah, and it's more beneficial for me to stream under that. Another example is when I played Sonic 06. There's no Sonic 06 category. So I would stream it under Sonic the Hedgehog.
Wait, there's no category for the best game ever made.
Which game is that?
Sonic 06.
Oh, that's true. Yes, there's no category for Sonic 06, unfortunately.
There's no justice.
Yeah. You can also follow categories. You can. Do people follow categories, though?
Well, this is the thing, right? I remember when I played Catherine, and I technically was playing Catherine full body. Catherine has more followers than full body, but technically full body is what I'm playing. But I don't know. Do people click on? That's the thing. I don't get it. But then again, I guess we had a certain viewer who's admittedly only watches people play Crosscode and is going to leave as soon as Crosscode's done. So maybe there are those people out there. But do you want them as viewers? Because you want people who don't mind you trying different games out and you get to interact with them. So it comes to a point where like, do categories like create this Hollow? Yeah, actually, good point, Puppy Eric. Hollow Knight community definitely follows that category. They don't leave. They just look for the next stream to the next streamer. But do you want those people as viewers? It's kind of like
Dark Souls community.
Yeah, it's kind of like what do you do there? And like what you said about Dark Souls and Yakuza, like Yakuza applies to Dark Souls because how many more people play Dark Souls 3 compared to 2 and 1 and Demon Souls? And like, should there be?
Well, and then there's also the issue of, for example, like you said with Catherine, there's Catherine and then there's Catherine full body.
Yeah.
And then there's like Dark Souls 2, and then there's Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin.
Yeah.
Right? So now you're deviating. Now you're splitting categories, right? So I guess like what kind of categories do you think we could see that might be more beneficial? Do you think there could be one that's like indie game, for example? I'm trying to think if there's other more broad categories that could be used. Genres like JRPGs.
JRPG would be a good genre.
I wonder if you could do it by consoles. So like PS3, Xbox 360, SNES, things like that. This is what tags are for. Yeah, tags kind of work though.
Hold on, but
tags only
go back. I'm going to interrupt here. Duo, with tags, right? The only times when me and Ozzy first met, the reason why Ozzy met me first was because he looked up achievement hunting as a tag, because that's the default tag I had, and you've got that tag as well, Duo. And Ozzy's like, you're the first achievement hunter that has their tag achievement hunter and is actually hunting achievements. And he said like he's been looking for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because every single person in the achievement hunting tag does not get achievements. And like they're just because it's a different way to play the game. Like it's different to get 100% as opposed to just playing from beginning to end. So I was the first person he found that had achievement hunting, and then you popped up my recommendations on achievement hunting. But the average person that's got the achievement hunting tags aren't achievement hunting at all. So So yeah, maybe it's getting better, Duo. But back then, because when did we meet? Well, October. I disagree. It was terrible back then. Maybe it's changed, but back then, no one was achievement hunting. Let's just say that.
The only tags I've used that have been helpful since I don't do achievement hunting is the LGBTQIA plus
Hmm.
tag. That's the only one. I think people will search for specific tags, but only thing we could go because someone mentioned it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and as Poppy mentioned, tags aren't moderated like categories theoretically are.
Hmm.
Um, I could throw any tags I want onto mine, and it doesn't matter, right? I could throw in analysis. What does analysis mean? That's one of the tags. Like, it doesn't really. It's a way of further filtering, but you're still kind of restricted to category in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Um, like I guess my thing is are categories are too specific in my opinion. There was the problem with IRL, which was that it was too broad. I think in game terms, game categories are just way too specific sometimes. And it just makes it hard to figure out what to even put yourself under.
I wish there was a type of pleb tier streamers, just so the pleb tier, so people can just avoid them.
Filter them out.
just
filter them out.
People who don't try at all and just be like, "Oh, I heard this is easy streaming. Just buy a webcam and we're done."
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
It. Yeah, that's it.
You wouldn't get any new viewers then.
Oh well, that's their problem. But yeah. Anyway, I got nothing else to really add to this. Pretzel, do you?
No, not really. Like I said, like I think like additional broad categories within games would be helpful. JRPG would be a good one, I think. I wonder, like indie new releases,
maybe like simulator
or something like.
I reckon like
simulators would be a good one.
4X games, like the 4X strategy
4X game. Yep. Or like the Paradox kind of games.
Yeah, like an RTS versus like turn-based strategy, something like that.
Or what's another thing? The ability to do multiple categories, 2 categories, right? Do 2 categories. Do a broad category and then the game specific category. You know what I mean? So do JRPGs, and then within JRPGs you could do Chrono Trigger or something like that. And give people the option to be able to search under 2 different categories, or like a main category and then a subcategory.
Or like even like if Chrono Trigger could be tagged as retro, Chrono Trigger, JRPG. So if someone's looking at JRPGs, they'll find you. If someone's looking up retro, they'll find you. And if someone's looking up Chrono Trigger, they'll find you. So at least that's like better visibility for that. It's actually kind of cool.
Because it all comes down to discoverability. It all comes down to discoverability.
Yeah.
And the fact that like there's just certain categories that are better to get discovered in. Retro is one of them.
Yeah.
The fact that it's a broad retro category means that, because like that's the thing, like it's interesting to be able to go into a category like retro and to see a bunch of different types of games. There's just not as many categories that let you do that.
Yeah, I know.
And I just don't think tags really fulfill that. I don't think tags really fulfill that need.
But yeah.
But any additional comment on that?
Nah, I'm good. I think I've got nothing else to say about it.
Yeah, me either. I don't know. It's all, like I said, it's a perpetual problem.
It's a discussion, yeah,
about discoverability.
Yeah.
Right? There's no simple solution. There's just no discoverability is a constant problem on Twitch.
Yeah.
And I think that retweaking categories is a really good way to do it.
Potentially,
because tags are just like an additional way of filtering out categories. Tags by themselves, I don't think are very useful. Like Mocha said, the LGBTQIA plus is a bit too broad for discoverability if you're actually looking for new streamers. Say, for example, you're looking for transgender, you won't be able to find too many easily. Yeah. It's Imagine JRPG category, like just chatting. How is that better for discoverability? It's better than just doing the specific game itself, unless the game itself has
A big
a
following.
unless the game itself already has a following.
Because I'll give you an example. When I played Final Fantasy 12, I remember there's two versions of 12. There's 12 and there's Zodiac Age. And after this, we'll go to the next question because I think we've been on this for too long. But like, luckily that month period, there was only 6 other people playing Zodiac Age, so I was number 1 in that circumstance. But if you played Zodiac Age right now, there'd be like no one watching. So it goes up and down, up and down. And then it goes to that point like, should I put it as Final Fantasy then? Like as a broad title? But yeah. So yeah, anyway, it's just, I don't know. It's nothing much to talk about. But anyway, so Pretzel, next topic of the agenda.
News. We're going to talk about the Ubisoft forward.
All right, hold up. Let me get this intro played. All right, so Ubisoft Forward happened. So Pretzel, what was some of the cool things that happened, and what were some of the bad things that happened?
The bad thing was pretty much everything other than the good things.
All right.
So, all right. So we'll talk about the ones that are actually important, or the ones that I think are important. So, the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake.
Hell yeah!
Amazing game. It's one of those ones that, like, I don't know about how you feel about it. Sands of Time is one of those games that's probably in my top 10, top 20, but I always forget that it should be there.
Yeah, it's a cool game. I remember my friend telling me how good it was, like back when it was on PS2, and I played it. I was like, "Damn, that was good." Unfortunately, the sequels weren't as good, but you know, debatable.
They're okay.
Yeah, Warrior of In's not, but I heard the third one's better. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, and what else was announced?
So I mean, what is there to say about it? They're making the graphics look better. Please don't fuck with the gameplay itself.
Don't put microtransactions in it.
Oh, God. We'll talk about that. And then, let's see. The other thing was Scott Pilgrim, and we'll talk about that. Let's talk about that at the end of this segment, because that'll segue into our next game topic.
Correct, yeah.
The only other really big thing that I remember from it was that dumb Breath of the Wild God of War style game. I don't even remember the name of it. Something Phoenix. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nope. I got one other thing I'd like to add to the Ubisoft press conference, which I thought was very sneaky of them. So if you guys don't know, Ubisoft's actually going through, what's it called? Immortal Phoenix Rising. Damn. Gods and Monsters? Or was it Gods and Monsters?
It wasn't Gods and Monsters. Okay. Oh, it's the same thing? Okay, well that's not confusing.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. But yeah, so if you guys don't know, so Ubisoft's going through a sexual harassment / rape cases. A lot of the top CEOs, and so not CEO, a lot of the top head honchos have been accused of sexual assault. The CEO's been ignoring it for multiple years, and now everything's come to light due to the Me Too movement, and so they've come under fire. However, these sneaky fuckers, instead of talking about it and just getting on with it, what they did was they did it before the Ubisoft fall, because a lot of people have been putting pressure on them, saying, "Dude, what's happening?" But what they did was they just did a tweet with the CEO saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we'll work it out, we'll figure it out." But they mentioned nothing of that during the Ubisoft fall. They just kept that on a tweet. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to downplay the incident, because they don't want to ruin any reputation that Ubisoft's got, and then make the tweet come out, so they acknowledge it, so at least they're doing the right thing. But then they just bring up the forward afterwards, so then everyone talks about hype, and avoid all issues. And
how many people were actually watching it before that? Because so I ended up watching it on stream more just to laugh at it, and I told my mod Mocha to hey, just keep an eye on it, let me know when it's about to go live, and she was messaging me throughout my stream hey, they just announced Far Cry VR, they just did all this. I'm like, the fucking forward hasn't started yet. What are they doing? What are they actually going to talk about in the forward? What's the point of delimiting?
I don't know.
Pardon. Separating out the forward and then just the pregame or whatever.
Correct, yeah.
But yeah, and one of the things you mentioned that, of all companies, fucking Bethesda, in their actual Bethesda E3 things, Todd Howard, it was a joke, but he would make reference to the Fallout 76 like debacle and stuff, like
Yeah.
during the actual conference. And so for like Ubisoft, like it should have been very easy for Ubisoft. Take 3 minutes, have the CEO sit in front of a camera, no background music, no nothing, and address the audience and say, "We understand. We made mistakes. We're trying to change our culture here. We hear you. We hear the victims. We believe them. We blah, 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 blah." Right? And yeah, it's a somber kind of way to start it, but
And
like,
it shows balls and it shows accountability for your corporation as
yeah,
well.
exactly. Yeah. It's just, yeah, it's absolute horseshit.
But that's just the way how to get rid of things. You put it as a tweet, and then you make the big show, and then get everyone to talk about the big show, and then everyone just ignores everything. So the poor victims, they get no proper justice or airtime.
No,
and the
it's
company
just plausible.
And the company, yeah, gets away with it, and everyone's none the wiser. Everyone's gonna be like, "Yeah, Ubisoft, best company in the world, woo!" Not realizing
it's just plausible deniability bullshit, where it's like, "Oh, we did talk about it. Here you go, here we go." But it's about the impact, and it's about the actual effort that's put into it. You know what I mean? But it's Ubisoft. They don't put any effort into their games, so who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
They're not going to put any effort into actually apologizing for their shitty workplace culture.
Yeah. And it's not just Ubisoft. It's going to happen to other companies soon when other notifications pop up. But anyway, do we have anything else to say about Prince of Persia?
Prince of Persia? No, I'm sure it'll be fine.
To be fair, though, it was cool that at least they're remaking that. That's because that, like, I swear, like, Ubisoft were actually making pretty cool games in the PS2 era, and I just felt like they started getting lazier when the PS3 360 generation came out.
Yeah.
If you were them, Pretzel, what have you done? Well, he just said it. He would have addressed it, or the CEO should address.
Start the actual forward with a public apology and addressing it, and not sneaking it in before the actual forward when people don't tune in. But here's the thing, dude. You said, didn't they have a video? It's plausible. It's about when you actually are putting it out. Are you putting it out during, like, the forward is starting? This is when everyone's going to tune in. This is when we're going to have the most eyes. This is when we're choosing to do it. Or are you doing it during the pregame when you know people aren't really paying attention?
Correct.
They know what they're doing. Like, that's the whole point, right? Like, they don't want to actually, when IGN and all these other people clip the actual forward, they don't want that to be included in the forward. That's the thing. So you put it at the beginning, you put it before the actual forward starts, so that you don't have to actually have it included in there. And then people can focus on your Breath of the Wild, God of War game.
Hype.
Yeah. That's the thing.
It's all about getting rid of every single news outlet had that video with a headline for it. Not really. They're trying to make it. They're trying to downplay as much as they can, and it's not right. And like it's
not about press coverage. That's the thing. It's not about press coverage. It's about how Ubisoft handled it.
Yeah.
It's not about how the press covered it. It's about how Ubisoft handled it.
Yeah.
It's about the fact that they didn't actually include it in the forward. They didn't include it when they had the most eyes on them.
Correct.
It's like, it's not the press's, like, just because the press covered it doesn't mean we can't hold Ubisoft accountable for trying to sneak it out. You know what I mean? Trying to sneak it out there.
So, yeah.
So, do you have any opinions on that God of War Breath of the Wild game?
No, I didn't see it. It doesn't look... look, if it gets good reviews and people that I trust say it's good, I might give it a crack, but no, I don't really.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Watchdog Legions, don't care. Really don't care.
Yeah.
It's very ambitious, but I'm curious how... It's very ambitious, but I'm curious just how deep it actually goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We'll have to wait to see.
If it's going to be ankle deep, ocean wide, or if it's going to actually have some depth to it. All right. So the last thing, and this will segue into the game topics a little bit, the Scott Pilgrim re-release.
So
I know you have some stuff to...
Yeah, so the reason why this is a big deal was, so a lot of people go, "Oh, Fox, why is everything you own physical? Why it's such a waste of space? Yada yada yada." And I've tried to explain to people so many times that you don't own digital games technically. Like if it's on your hard drive, it's there, it's all cool, no worries. But if you've purchased a game on a store and the licensing changes for that game, you cannot buy that game again. And that's what happened to PT, to Scott Pilgrim versus the World, to I think Transformers Devastation as well. And I think I'm sure there's a few other games. I'm sure people can bring it up a list.
Oh yeah.
But we need to preserve these games because, like, if we're going to take games as art as a serious question and debate, like, imagine if the Mona Lisa, for whatever reason, just ceased to existed. Like, everyone remembered about it, but there's no more physical copy of it anymore. It's just gone. So it's important that we need to, like, preserve these games. And I didn't. Why was Scott Pilgrim versus the World anyway removed from the store? Was it the soundtrack?
I don't know. I was gonna, some kind of licensing. I'm sure it had to do with lapse in licensing of some sort, either the music or the Scott Pilgrim IP, if I had to guess, because it's not based on the movies; it's based on the comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we don't have to do the stinger to talk about it, but yeah, this is kind of a segue into
digital versus physical only.
Digital only. Well, digital media versus physical media, and then also the fact that Xbox and we assume PlayStation are coming out with digital only consoles.
There is a digital only PlayStation console.
There is. Okay. So yeah, there's going to be digital onlys for both of them. So for Xbox, it kind of makes sense because it's like, well, here's the thing. So the Xbox only has 0.5 terabyte hard drive, which is nothing, absolutely nothing. 3/4 of that is COD, right? Basically. And it's basically just going to be a Game Pass machine, right?
Yeah.
The Xbox one.
Yeah. Game Pass machine.
Yeah, pretty much. So then it makes you wonder what the PlayStation one's going to be. If PlayStation's going to be coming out with their own kind of Game Pass or whatever, PS Now or something like that.
Yeah. Make sure it's available in Australia.
Right. PCs are basically digital only now. That's correct. That is correct. Here's the thing, though. So I personally, whenever I buy games for console, I almost always buy physical. For that reason, Scott Pilgrim is probably the most prominent example. PT is the other one of that. Like, if that thing just leaves the market, you're fucked. Like,
yeah,
that's it. You don't own it anymore. You paid for it and you don't own it anymore.
And it's just,
I don't know.
And like, if, for example, imagine if like 10, and this is what happened to me. I remember seeing the game on PS3. I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to get that game. I never went to purchase it. And then, like 5 years down the track, I was like, oh yeah, I got to get that game. And then I looked into this issues of digital licensing, and I was like, the game's gone. I can't get it anymore. And then I looked into like all these like hacking and backwards stuff to do to get it, and I was like, I couldn't even do it. Like there's stuff to do for 360, but PS3 is a bit harder. So I was just like, shit, like this game is gone for good. And
PC's not exempt from this. I'm trying to remember a PC game.
I can give you an example. I remember ages ago on Steam, I had this game wishlisted, right? And what was it called? It was like, what was it called? It was this like RPG retro styled with like Game Boy aesthetics. And I remember I was like, oh cool, this game looks sick. And I was gonna wait for it to go on sale. And then one day I went to the store page, like just something in my head just clicked, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna play that game. And then the developer actually removed it off the store. And they did it themselves personally because they felt like the game wasn't complete and they wanted like to take it off and refinish it. It's been 3 years. They haven't finished the game off yet. So if you're so some people bought the game, they get to play it. But if you didn't buy in that time, it's too late. Unless if you can get like a legal pirate copy. Go for it.
The game that I was thinking of, Alan Wake, was pulled from PC for a long time because of expired music licenses. Ooh. So you could... Technically, if you had it downloaded, you could play it, right? But if you got rid of it for some reason, like to clear space on your hard drive or whatever, you didn't own it anymore. You're done.
Yeah.
You know? Like this, I'm nervous about the Switch because it feels inevitable, doesn't it? That we're just moving to digital only soon.
And I understand why. It's because it's better. Obviously they get more money because they don't have to print stuff out. I guess it's better for the environment too, which is also a big consideration. But when it comes to protecting the actual, the IP and the idea in the game. Like, we need a way to preserve the game somehow.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one of the things that I was going to actually bring up is that, and someone mentioned emulating. So I personally am not opposed to emulation, specifically for games that are just specifically for games that the companies have shown no interest in actually porting, re-releasing. For example, um like Dreamcast games are a great example, right?
Yeah.
Like Sega's put out some Dreamcast games, but due to licensing and stuff, they just won't put out other ones. You know what I mean? Skies of Arcadia, right?
Yeah.
Skies of Arcadia, you can't get anywhere now. Can't get it digitally, can't get it anything. Um, like, yeah, just the idea that like Mother 3, there you go. They have no interest in porting that
Oh, I
over to the
know.
United States.
Yeah.
Um, what else is there? There's
Oh,
some Yakuza games
and you got Panzer
that
Dragoon Saga on Sega Saturn, which
Panzer.
Sega lost the code, so they can't even release the game if they wanted to try it. So what happens there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, digital ownership policies need to change. It does. Yeah, the game companies have no interest in that, though. The game companies have no interest in that. Um, yeah, like I don't know, Fox. Well, how do you feel about the inevitable switch to digital only?
It worries me because look, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be biased towards physical games just because I like collecting, I like the packaging, I like looking at it, I like holding on to it, I like, you know, getting naked and putting it, cover my body in it, and as a quilt, and take like
Mm-hmm.
saucy photos of a collection. But if I can't do that anymore, like, what's gonna happen then? But look,
Right.
but the main issue for me is that if a game comes out, I should still have the right, because I paid for it, to play it today, or play it 5 years later, or play it on my deathbed, and I should
Mm-hmm.
still be able to just play it and have no stress about it at all. I
Oh
actually,
yeah.
and like I should give a good example is GTA 4. Um, so a lot of the songs, actually, the music licensing ran out, so a good chunk of the games so a good chunk of the music has been removed from the game. So if you actually play GTA 4 and you update the patch, it actually removes the music from the game that they've lost the licensing to. And
Really.
ironically, most of the music that's been removed is the actual traditional Serbian music. So like obviously you're playing as a character
Oh
from Serbia. So imagine like all his songs gone. So like, if you want
yeah.
to live that, the full Serbian lifestyle, all the Eastern European classic music there, you can't anymore. And some of the dance music's still there, but it's just like it changes the game, because like the game back then you're judging it for the soundtrack because it's part of the game. GTA is known for the soundtrack, but now if you play it
Mm-hmm.
now, you're actually playing a lesser game than what it was back then, which like
Yeah.
that's crap. Imagine if you were like a first timer. Yeah, the vibe's been ruined. Correct, Camo. So like imagine like if you told someone, hey guys, check out GTA 4, it's a really cool game. They play the game, because remember the game's got like ads between the songs as well. So like the songs, I don't know if you know how the soundtrack works, but the game's got a set track, and then the ad and the DJ talks between the things, so he links the songs together, so it makes a continuous loop. But now like you have to like, what are you gonna do? You have to like cut all his music out, and plus the intros and that. So it's just like it changes the game. I know it's just music, but it's part of the game. We all know it is.
Uh, Mocha asked about companies like Limited Run Games that release them physically. Limited Run is doing God's work. Like
And
the
scalpers
fact
work
that
too.
like yeah, exactly. Because they just like I bought it. I just bought the Shantae Game Boy, like the Game Boy Color Shantae, not the actual Game Boy Color cartridge, but the Switch version of it,
I bought the Game
because
Boy
that's the
Color
only way to
cartridge.
play it. It's the only way to play it now, like legally, right? Because that's the thing. Like, if given the option, personally, I would rather pay a company to have like an actual physical version of that game that I can hold on to than emulate it personally.
Yeah.
Um, like Limited Run Games just put out Last Blade 2, Garou Mark of the Wolves, all these other awesome SNK games. And Limited Run Games is doing a great job with it because they're incentivizing people by not just releasing the physical version, but by throwing in a bunch of other collector stuff that make people that are fans of the game already would be interested in, that incentivize them to want to pay a little additional on top of it. Like those fucking like the Neo Geo games that they're releasing that come with like the full size like AES like cartridge and shit. Like it's cool. Like I would want to own them.
I know. And like the other thing with like with them doing these physical copies is, so just in case you guys don't know about Shantae, Shantae is the original Shantae game came on Game Boy Color. Um, dare I say Game Boy Color, and it's so rare that if you want to buy a physical copy complete, it's $1,000. I'm not even joking.
Mm-hmm.
$1,000. I haven't seen a copy cheaper than that. And who like imagine if you decided to play the series now, because the series only just started getting more popular. Imagine you went, oh, I'm going to play the first game, see where it starts. What are you going to do? And if you're like some people, I know some people who are like very ethically like won't use an emulator at all, and they just be like that's illegal. But like tough luck, you can't play it. Pay $1,000 or you can't play it. That's crap. And I'm actually really angry at Nintendo as well. I remember ages ago when the Wii got announced, they when the Wii first got announced, and they said they were going to put like classic games on it. I was like, oh my god. Imagine like playing the Nintendo Wii and having every single Game Boy game, Game Boy Color game, Super Nintendo game, 64 game, GameCube game, all on one console. Like that was my dream. I was like, that, I actually I can finally delete all my ROMs now. I'll happily pay money for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't.
Absolutely.
And they don't. And then guess
Well,
what? They released the SNES Mini. How many fucking games on that? 30. That's pathetic. And then they've been putting some SNES ROMs on the Switch. How many games are on that? Like nothing. It's like nothing. Like Nintendo, stop being so
and not the ones that
lazy.
people want either. Well, here's the other thing. You bring up the Wii eShop. Once that shut down, if you didn't already have those downloads, you can't re-download them.
Yeah.
All those classic games you bought and stuff, if they're not actually downloaded by the time that Wii shop shut down,
yeah,
it doesn't matter how much you paid. Like I probably spent hundreds of dollars on like because that's the thing, they're not tied to your account really.
Yeah.
And you can't like if I went out and bought a Wii right now, right? Because I don't own my Wii anymore. But let's say I go out and I buy a Wii, and let's say my Nintendo account is still active. I can't download those games that I paid for.
That's crap.
Like it's bullshit. Like the fact that you don't own what you're paying money for sucks.
And
absolutely sucks.
And there's a handful of Wii exclusive indie games that never came to PC at all and are only on Wii. And you can't play it, too bad. There's an actual Xbox 360 game as well that the developer actually got really pissed off. It's called Dishwasher Samurai on Xbox 3, only on 360. And some Russian hacker downloaded the game and actually managed to put it onto PC. And the developer got really annoyed at that. But like people just arguing like what you just said there. It's like, well, now I can't go on Xbox Live Arcade. I can't download that anymore. So it's just like it's gone. So it's just,
yeah, and this comes back to Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah,
comes back to Scott Pilgrim. Like, yeah, it's just, and then PT, like we've mentioned PT before.
Yeah,
it's like if PT is probably one of the best horror games to come out.
I thought it was Outlast.
Probably one. Yeah, it's like what was because PT is fairly revolutionary in my opinion.
Yeah,
actually horrific, like not violent. It's like it felt like what like Amnesia tried to be.
Yeah,
you know, but like so if you agree with that concept that PT is one of the more revolutionary horror games that have come out probably in the past decade.
Yeah,
right.
One of the best games ever made too.
One of the best games ever made, and it's just a playable demo, right? You can't experience that. It's lost to time, basically. It's lost to time. And it's just, it's the downside of doing digital only. And we're specifically talking about console. I know PC is a different thing. And with Steam, like Steam is so big and has been around for so long and will be around for so long that if you bought a game and you delete it and then you decide to re-download it, more often than not, it's not going to be an issue.
But there have been games that have been
Alan Wake happened, GTA 4, like you mentioned. Specific to consoles only, though. Like, it's just... I'm dreading the day when we get to digital only. Dreading it a lot.
I actually remember a story, Pretzel. I remember one time on Steam, I saw this, like, turn-based RPG, strategy RPG. It looked really cool. It got very average reviews. There's 5 parts to it. I remember for whatever reason I was like, that game looks sick. I didn't wishlist the game. 3 years later, this is how my brain works. Sometimes I just forget about it, and then 3 years later, oh, I want to get that game. That game was actually removed from the store, and then 2 years later, it was back on the store again. And you know what happened? As soon as it came back on the store, I went buy. It's on my library now. It's already downloaded because I'm worried that that game might disappear again. And like it looks like a game that it's like such a weird experimental game that no one's played. I'd probably even stream the retro category because no one's even heard of it, and it looks really cool. And but like if I can't experience that game, it's gone forever, and it's sad. It's sad to an art because I call game designers artists because you are creating an art form effectively. A little bit of interactive art, and if that game's gone, I could never experience it. And like I'm sure there could be a game out there right now on the Steam library or in the virtual store somewhere, and it could potentially be better than say Chrono Trigger or Dark Souls, just some classic games that we were never discovered. It just never sold. No word of mouth. It just disappeared, and that game goes off the store. The developer's sad that his game never got sold very well. It's gone, and we'll never. It could be there. It could be literally like a hidden diamond that we just never found, and that's why online games we need to make sure they're preserved.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's there's a big portion of like these games that develop reputations because they were so underappreciated when they came out, and then over time they develop a reputation, but then there's no way for anyone that's maybe discovering it newly or to experience that again. It feels so exclusive, and it feels so I'm thinking of like PS2 games like Rule of Rose or something like that.
I found that way too late.
Yeah, way too late. It cost, I think, on eBay last time I've checked, $500 to get a copy, a legitimate copy.
Yeah.
Kuon, another Agitech game. And a lot of this is driven by like the cult classic kind of mentality, right? But what I guess another segue topic that I wanted to ask about is is digital only okay if it's ports? Are you okay with digital only if they're ports of game? So like, for example, you correct me if I'm wrong, isn't a lot of like backwards compatibility coming out with like the new consoles digital only?
I'm not
or am
sure.
I not remembering that correctly? I'm probably misremembering that. But like, for example, let's say that Rule of Rose is coming out, and the only way to get it would be digital, like a digital port or something like that.
Yeah. Are you saying would I be okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes, because it gives the developer a chance to make money from that game that they created that no one got to play, and it gives horror fans a chance to give the game a try without buying it. It would be nice if there was a physical, but I'd completely forgive them as long as I have the opportunity to buy it, and if I buy it, it's there, and I don't have to freaking worry about keeping it on my hard drive just in case the licensing changes again.
Yeah, so Dragon Dark and Mocha both brought this up at different points. So the Mario 3D All-Stars collection, not only is that a limited physical release, that's a limited digital release.
So stupid.
Limited digital release. Get your ass out there. Let's say you download that. Okay, here's a question. Let's say you buy it digitally.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this has been answered or if we know this. Let's say you buy 3D All-Stars digitally, right? And then let's say your Switch craps out, you lose it, you got to get a new Switch, right? But the limited digital release window has closed when you get your new Switch. Can you re-download the game, even though you paid for it? Or does it just disappear from the store entirely? Are you even able to download it at that point?
It's not right.
Yeah. It's just so...
Like at the end of the day, all we need is just that if we own something digital, we get to keep it. and that the game shouldn't change. Like GTA 4, I think is a really big example because it's like losing half the soundtrack. That's bad. Come on, man. Like I want to play the game again with all the Serbian music. If it's not there, that's you're changing the vibe of the game. So you should be able to
Mm-hmm.
keep the game. The game should be preserved in its current state for that period, and yeah, you should. And there should like if the store goes, there should be I don't know. The developer should have some. So the company whose responsibility would it be to keep the game on an online form or somewhere?
Okay, so Mocha confirmed that you can re-download it if the software's been archived.
Once if Nintendo forgets to archive, once they forget to press the button.
Yeah, it still goes back to that idea that like it's still like I think like the crux of it is if I buy a game physically, the responsibility for that game is mine, right?
Yes.
It's mine what I do with it, right? It's mine. I put it in the console, I play it when I'm done with it, I put it back in the case, I put it on my shelf, I take it down and I put it back in when I'm ready to play, right? But with digital, it's part of it is out of your control now, right? Like PS3 right now, right? When the PS5 comes out, is my PS3 network still going to work? Will I still be able to go in and download Tokyo Jungle? Right? If I delete it, will I be able to go in and download Tokyo Jungle again?
Yeah.
Right? So that's a digital only release. But let's say that I had the option to buy it physically, right? I'm in control of that media. It is in my hands. Digital, you're relying on the company to basically, you know, maintain a relationship with you and in good you're basically hoping that they're going to keep supporting and allowing you to play the game that you own, but only partially.
Because I guess it comes back to, I guess, a part of, I guess, living in a capitalist world. We purchase goods with our money that we work for, and then we have rights to that item that we purchased, and it's our responsibility to look after it, which is fine. And then sometimes we make mistakes and lose stuff, but then when it goes down to the develop that you're purchasing the item, but it's not really yours, then it's not really. Then we should be paying way significantly less if they're not going to keep the rights to the game, or if you don't get an opportunity to re-download it again and lay down the track or something. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
and one of the things I think you and I have both said at different points is I want to pay these developers. I want to give them money for their game,
yeah,
right? But I want to feel like I'm getting a product that is mine by doing it. You know what I mean? Like the transaction is you've made this, I give you money, now I get to hold on to it. I get to play it whenever I want,
yeah.
whether that's today, whether that's 5 years from now, right? Like, and I want to be, and this goes into, and I know we're kind of going back and forth on this, and maybe we'll talk about this in the future on as another topic about emulation and stuff. But like, if Sega put out Skies of Arcadia, you bet your ass I'd be the first one. I'd be in line to give them money for that.
Oh yeah,
Like,
tell me about it.
I, I'm always in. I'm always in favor of paying developers for their hard work, but I want to feel like I'm owning the product that I'm getting from them. You know what I mean?
Because like
But
music. Because think about this. This is my last point. I think we've already covered everything.
yeah,
But my last point is musicians when they release, say Michael Jackson, his songs, he still makes money from Beyond the Grave for his music, and it's like preserved as forever art, and it's licensed out, and we get to listen to it, and it's awesome. That's cool. How cool would it be that Sega releases Skies of Arcadia? Because we need to give Sega money. We need to reward Sega for every time they make a good game like Skies of Arcadia, as opposed to Sonic in general. So it'd be nice to actually give money to Sega and be like, "Hey, Skies of Arcadia, that was awesome." Imagine like when did the game come out? 2000 and, I think it's 2000 2001. Um, we give money to Sega, and then imagine like I don't know 10 years time down the track, you tell someone, "How good is this RPG? This game's really good." I'm like, "Oh, what is it?" Skies of Arcadia. All right, cool. And you somehow go to the Sega store, and and then you buy it, and then Sega's like still getting money for a great game they made back in 2000. Like why not? Like why doesn't Sega do that? It's just
hmm
it's just it's so stupid. Like why can't they? And like this is not just Sega. This is just so many other companies are guilty of that. Even Konami, maybe Konami could even make money from there. Why does Konami such a greedy company? Why don't they have like Metal Gear Solid and all the other classic games like, um, you know, like all the Castlevanias and Metal Gear Solids and all that and Silent Hills, like
Yeah,
just
and
re-download.
like I said, like I want to reward good game with my money.
Yeah,
I have them. I
simple.
have my money. I want to give you my money for your game. Please put out the game. Please put it out in a way that I can like hold on to it. All right. I think that's enough about that topic. All right. It's time for Scroops of the Wook.
All right, hold up. No, we don't know no scrubs. So Pretzel, tell us about the scrub. Who is the scrub of the week?
The scrub of the week is cosmetic only microtransactions.
Oh, but it's only
So
but it's only cosmetic only. It doesn't affect the game.
it's exactly that's why they make money because it don't matter, right?
It
All
doesn't
right.
matter.
We're already tilting our hand a bit here. All right, go ahead. So let's start with a little bit of history. What? Okay, Fox. Let's see if we both are thinking of the same thing. What was the first cosmetic DLC you remember?
It was the horse armor in what's it
Horse
called?
armor.
Yeah, but I only learnt about it later down the track because I was learning about the dark side of the microtransaction, and I learned that it's actually the origins of cosmetic.
Yes.
Cosmetics.
So if you guys don't know, in Elder Scrolls Oblivion, the first DLC they released was horse armor, armor for your horse that you get to ride. And this is the first game this is the first Elder Scrolls game you can actually ride a
horse
animal in. You couldn't do it in Morrowind. So, and that sounds fun. Like, hey, I got armor for my horse. Now my horse won't die as much. No, the armor doesn't change any stats. It is purely cosmetic. And I don't even remember. You go ahead and talk about it a little bit, like just your general initial thoughts on cosmetic only DLC.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up how much this horse armor cost when it first came out.
And don't forget to factor in inflation too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, cosmetic. It's a double-edged sword because I feel, this is a personal opinion. Like you can debate it, and I'm happy to change my mind. With cosmetic DLC, I think if a game is free to play, I think it's okay then, because they've given you a game, you can play it, and like my free to play game was my free to play game I used to play was Dota 2. That's free. All the heroes are unlockable at the start, so as soon as you start the game, all the heroes are there. The game doesn't change at all. Everything's there. But if you want your character to look pimpin', and arguably I actually think most of the costumes look like crap anyway, you can spend money to make it look good. So in my opinion, I think that's the only time it's okay to have a cosmetic item. But then it comes to that point where I know friends that spent thousands and thousands of dollars on skins in that game, and I personally have only spent $5, I think. But like I've played that game for I think I hit 5,000 hours in that game. So to me that's just like, are my friends effectively paying for my portion of the game which I never even paid for? So then it comes to like the ethics of like, if a game is free, I guess, but then I guess if a game is good, actually, but then it comes to a point where actually I'll give a counter argument where Heroes of the Storm, I paid $60 for that game when it came out, and it only came with 3 heroes, and you have to like unlock the heroes by doing, playing the game and whatnot. Then the game got released for free. I got no compensation for that. I've had some games where I did get compensated, where I bought it brand new or like within a year, and then it became free to play and I got compensated. But Heroes of the Storm, I didn't get anything for the game becoming free to play.
No, I played Hero of the Storm as well. I think, isn't it theoretically possible to unlock other heroes and stuff like through playing the game?
Yeah, you can.
But they just make it such a pain in the ass that it's like a month straight of playing, you might get one hero or something like that.
Wasn't that bad, but it's annoying enough.
Right. Okay, so we have prices that say like $250 for horse armor when it first came out. I found another article that said when that okay, so here's a quote about from 3 years after its initial release, Bethesda celebrated April Fool's Day with a special sale on Xbox 360 downloadable Oblivion content. Everything was half off except for one thing. They bumped the price of horse armor up to $5. So, okay, so that was the so that's kind of the first part of it, right? And so just everyone, I think everyone that remembers that remembers how outrageous it was, right?
Yeah.
And over time, people, it feels like, have become less and less
cynical.
Like they become less and less outraged by it, right? The fact that, like, you can buy, for example, Overwatch is a great example, right? You pay full price for that game and then you pay additionally for loot boxes and skin.
Yeah.
Right? Why is there not as much outrage about that now?
It's called normalization.
Normalization, exactly. But why are we not as mad about that as we were about horse armor?
Normal, back to normal. Back then, it was the first of it, or first of its kind, or if it was. Mm-hmm. So it was a shocking to the concept of that. But then now it's like it's almost like we expect it. It's kind of like we've what's called expect for a game to screw us over in a way. And
oh yeah,
it's not right. We should not, as consumers. We are, remember guys, we are consumers. We're consuming their product. We shouldn't be standing for this crap. Cosmetic,
no.
Cosmetics is, it's a tough one because like I remember back in the days, like if I wanted, like, I don't know, the alternate skin of Resident Evil 4, I just had to finish the game. Whatever happened to those days? Some games still do have it. But I know, like, for example, like a lot of anime games have like cosmetic, super expensive cosmetic skins where you can play as the female character with like, you know, in a bikini or like, you know, like a sexy outfit, which I know they're preying on the people who are, you know, a bit pervy and stuff like that. But even then, I still think it's predatory. Like, it's because there's gonna be one day, and this is what happens. And I used to work at a bank, and I had to deal with this quite a few times. There's always the kid that's playing Fortnite or playing what's called, you know, something like an anime game. They see like the skin that looks so hot, they can't, you know, pay for it, so they steal their mum's credit card and then they buy it themselves. And this is what happens. And like the developers know that it has become gambling. Not that loot boxes is actual gambling. So like in Overwatch,
yeah, absolutely.
In Overwatch, technically you can unlock the skins by just playing the game, but the odds of that skin being unlocked in the loot box is like very low. So it's just like it is gambling. And then if you're buying this item that has a random, like, you should just be able to buy the skin naturally. At the end of the day, the skin shouldn't be there anyway. You should just unlock it for just normal playing in that. But if you're gonna purchase a loot box to have a chance to unlock that skin, that's gambling. If it was you paying for the skin, that's fine. But I still disagree with cosmetic DLC anyway. I think it's...
So you say that let's say, for example, you're playing a game, and let's not use online multiplayer for now, because that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's a single player game. For example, Metal Gear Solid 5, you could pay €1 to get the tux.
Oh my god. Can you unlock the tux normally throughout the game?
No, I don't think so. There's other ones you can. The tux you had to pay for $1, I think. But let's say even if that's not true, let's say that you're playing a game and there's a skin for your character. It's a single player game, and you can pay $1 for that. How do you feel about that?
I don't like it.
Why is that?
I don't like it because effectively you're admitting to me that you've given me a game and it's not the complete game, because there's a bit of code in that game which allows me to dress Snake in a tuxedo, but I cannot access that bit of code without paying extra money, even though I've already paid full price for that game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. because that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. So I think that there's two different discussions. There's one when it comes to single player, and then there's one that comes to multiplayer. And the reason why that it's different is one is more social, the multiplayer, and one is more just your individual taste, right?
Correct.
Your personal experience. And see, low price cosmetics like Borderlands, I don't really mind, but that's co-op. I still mind it though. So here's the thing, like it's one of those things that it's like you said, it's, and I know that this is kind of nostalgia baiting in a way, so I apologize, but it used to be
from the retro streamer, right?
I know, yeah, exactly. Us fellow retro streamers. It comes back to the idea that like when you got the game, you got everything in the game.
Yeah.
Right? Skins and stuff you would unlock, right? In Resident Evil 2, when you got Resident Evil 2, if you did a certain if you got through the town without healing and then you went to the little thing underneath and killed the helicopter pilot, you would get a key that would let you open the locker and wear a different outfit.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the way that it used to be. It used to be that they were unlocks and that they weren't like additional ways of monetizing the game beyond beyond the initial release. So, and I understand but don't accept the argument that companies want to still make money after the game's release. I understand it, I don't accept it. But here's one of the common arguments is basically it's just cosmetic, it doesn't affect the game.
Yeah.
Right? But here's the thing. To me, that's insulting because that devalues the artists that worked on it. Right? It devalues the actual hard work that was put into doing these things by just saying, oh, it's cosmetic, it doesn't matter then. And I don't know, do you have a
actually that point you just I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that poor guy who animated the snake tuxedo, he's not going to get paid now because we're not paying for the DLC for that snake tuxedo. So, but Mocha brought up a point there, or values are paying out cash for it. Oh no, it's probably right. But Mocha brought up a point
then
that
have it in the game.
Yeah. What about the point? He still gets paid? All right, probably does. But what about games where the paid cosmetic, if it's in the game to be unlocked, but if you can't be fucked doing it, you can just pay for it? Are you cool with that?
Then make your game better.
But once if it's like you have to finish the game Iron Man mode without dying, it's just impossible and only like true slayers can get it.
Then just make your game better? I don't know what to say there. Like it goes back to like the Assassin's Creed Ubisoft thing of like we are going to make it so that the game is unbearable unless you pay. Like I guess for something like that, like let's say that like okay, so let's say like so in Halo multiplayer back in the day,
yeah,
you used to be able to get the Hayabusa armor set only if you reached, I forget the exact guidelines. Mm-hmm. But like if you went into an online game and you saw someone with the Hayabusa armor set, you knew that they knew how to play the game.
Okay.
Right? Nowadays with it, you could just, it's just there. Everyone can wear Hayabusa if they want to. Right? I think that cosmetics and things like that are rewards for playing the game well, I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't mind at all.
This is a circumstance where all right, did you ever play Perfect Dark on 64?
Yes.
So in Perfect Dark on 64, did you know you can unlock 8 of the cheat codes if you own Perfect Dark on Game Boy Color, and put it in the transfer pack, which you have to purchase for the 64 controller, and you can unlock some of the cheat codes. You can get it yourself if you like, and I forgot which cheat code. You unlock all guns and all that. And I think to unlock all guns in the game, you have to finish it on Secret Agent, I think. Or maybe or maybe Perfect Agent, or you can own Perfect Dark and Game Boy Color, put it in the cartridge in the transfer pack, and then unlock it that. Are you okay with that concept? Because you are effectively skipping it.
No, I'm not, because you're still being forced to pay extra to get a complete game. You're being forced to pay extra in order to get a complete game.
But
and what I mean by paying extra is getting the transfer pack, getting the Game Boy Color version of the game, etc. There's other games that have done that. Like I know Perfect Dark was your example.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another. I'm sure people will in the chat will remind me. I know there's been games within the past generation or two where if you owned 2 different versions of the game, then you would unlock something. I'm trying to remember what it is though. I don't remember.
What about Pokemon Red and Blue? How some Pokemon are in some and the other Pokemon don't.
That's a great question.
Actually, we're not even talking about microtransactions anymore. Now we're just talking about.
I know we're just talking about like
game design,
this is fine.
Game
this
design
doesn't bother
theory
me at all. I think I've become accustomed to it, but I still think it's bullshit. I still think that it should just be one Pokemon game.
For me, it's like it boosts the social aspect of the game, but then you've got that rich kid that just buys both versions anyway. We all knew that person. And actually, Mocha, good point there. Zelda Oracle. Do you know how happy I was the day when I finally got to see the true ending for Zelda? So if you guys don't know, so Zelda Oracle Seasons and Ages, which is great Game Boy Zelda games. Anyway, so basically there's a Seasons and Ages. They're 2 separate games, 2 separate worlds. However, if you want to see the true ending, what you have to do is you have to finish one game, get the code. Is it a code or get the code, and then when you finish it, play the other game, and then put the code in, and then you can finish it, and then you finish that game, and then you get to unlock like the final dungeon where you fight the final boss. And like it was so, I was so happy the day when I finally got to see the ending. But like, how many kids out there would have been pissed then? Because at the end, the game ends on a cliffhanger. So the only way to see the true ending is, as I said, to the split. It's not like play the game as a standalone game. Like the actual game is meant to be. Both of them are meant to be played. So yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting design. Because I got my copy of Seasons. Oh, here's my copy of Seasons right here. But I don't know where my copy of Ages is. So too bad if I want to, see the true ending right there. But there's my copy of Seasons right there.
You're screwed.
I know. I can't see the ending. I can't fight Twin Rover at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yes, Poppy. They're 2 separate games with 2 separate stories. Correct. But they 2 separate games, 2 separate stories. However, the final villain is So basically, when you finish the first game, it cuts like a cut scene of like one of the characters is being like what's it called? Being mind controlled by the true villain. So then you have to play that. But then you'll never see the ending if you don't play both games, and you have to play both games consecutively.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back to Cosmetic DLC.
All right. So, yeah, we've went on a tangent.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So do you have anything else to add about the single player DLC, like single player Cosmetic DLC? I'm personally just like,
you're just a full no, aren't you?
I'm just a full no. Just absolutely no. Absolutely no.
I'm partially okay with if as long as there's a free way to unlock it, but if you can't be bothered and just want to pay for it, I'm okay with that. Do I agree with it? Not 100%, but if it's there, it's there. I can let that one slide. However, but then it comes back to that concept that games cost money, and they're probably trying to future-proof their game by continuously making more money as the game's life continues on. Like, who knows? Maybe right now, as we're speaking, someone might be downloading the ending chapter to Final Fantasy 13-2 and the optional bosses right now, and Square Enix has just been like, ka-ching. Like, that game came. When did 13-2 come out? I forgot when it came out. But like, yeah, something like that, or even like what's it, like maybe Lost Planet on Xbox 360. Maybe someone's bought. I think there's something item you can buy on that as well. So who knows, man? It's just it's I don't know. It's I don't agree with it. I'm okay with it as long as there's a free way to unlock it in the game. But personally, I rather just not existed in a way.
Yeah. So what about? So I guess my thing is like, I guess the basic crux of my argument is that you're not getting a complete game when you buy the game. And I'm not talking about like DLC and stuff like that. Like, I'm talking like you're not getting a complete game. Because the other thing I wanted to bring up, we talked about normalization, was remember when day one DLC was a big fucking deal? And now it's just given. It's given. There's day one DLC for games.
Yeah,
or you just are committing early into a season pass before the game even comes out. You're committing to a season pass.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of like, why are we still normalizing it? Like, I'm kind of contradictory in this sense. In a lot of ways, I want to support developers when they do good things, right? If they put out a good game and they put it out with ethically, I want to support them. I want to give them money directly. I don't buy the, if I give them the chance, I've mentioned this before, I don't buy used, I buy new. So that the money basically goes to the developer, not the game store kind of thing, right? But at the same time, like, I understand, like, I try to personally hold some accountability to these companies when it comes to bullshit tactics that I just don't like. So the other side of the coin that I wanted to bring up is multiplayer game. And I think that this is where the cosmetic only argument is just bullshit.
Okay.
And the reason why is because it is a social experience. And because when you're playing an online game, you want to be able to stand out. You know what I mean? You want to be able to like differentiate yourself from other players, right? And so having a different skin or having a different look to you has inherent value in an online game, an online social game. And that's why I think that like arguing, oh, well, it doesn't affect stats or anything, it's just cosmetic, is just not a great argument in that sense.
Okay. I didn't think about it that way. That's kind of cool.
So for like, and there's and it ultimately comes down to, if it didn't work, they wouldn't do it, right? And they're doing it because it works, because they understand customers place value in standing out. It, like I said, that's why I wanted to split it up. With single player, it's your game, you're playing it how you want to. If you want your character to look a different way, whatever, right? I can understand more argument from that sense, but with multiplayer games, I think it's just complete bullshit. So, like the argument that it's just cosmetic.
So what about something like League of Legends and Dota 2 where the game's free? When can the developer make the money?
I think if it's free to play, that's fine.
Okay.
If it's free to play, I completely get it.
Okay.
I'm talking like, we keep bringing it up, like Overwatch, Destiny, things like that, where like being able to stand out by making colors and stuff like that, like, or skins and whatnot that make you stand out. Like, that's an example of where I think where you're paying already for a full game, right? But then don't get the full game experience.
Yeah. So it should be like, so what happens if Overwatch had the skin, but the only way to unlock the skin was just to be an absolute slayer, like just, 100,000 kills? Would you be cool with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Like, that I've never had. So having cosmetics doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
And earning them in the game as them being part of the game and kind of as a reward for playing the game well or playing it a certain amount of time is one thing. But to lock it off behind just, I have more money than the next person, or I'm willing to part with my money quicker than the next person, right? I think that that's bullshit.
Okay. And Haley unlocks skins by using points from gain from ranking up. Yeah, that should be fine. That's how it should be. But yeah, microtransactions, right? It's a horrible part of the gaming world. Do you remember when microtransactions didn't exist?
Oh, I know. It's been a while. Do you think games like Overwatch would still be updated as often if there weren't microtransactions? Why would they be upgraded if there are microtransactions? You're making a game, you want to upgrade it because you want people to keep playing it. Like, I guess I don't understand the argument. If you want to upgrade it, so here's an example. Let's say that Blizzard decides, like, okay, we're gonna release this DLC that adds a new character and adds a bunch of new skins and it adds a new arena and a new game mode. Perfectly fine with that. That's a way to upgrade your game and make money.
It's just
But if they aren't making any money anymore, they can't justify supporting it. Then they should stop. Then they should make another game.
make a better
Like, that's
game.
the thing. Yeah, just make another game. Make Overwatch 2. Like, it's just the thing is, like, it's that's the thing. I'm not against companies making money. I am absolutely not against companies making money. It's just an argument that it's cosmetic only, so it doesn't matter. I think it's just a dumb argument. It's just not a great argument.
But then it splits the pay base by according to looks like stocks.
Yeah, but Call of Duty does that every time they come out with a new Call of Duty.
Oh, there's the map pack
It
expansion
doesn't
pack.
stop them from making money.
Because they got the map packs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, it's one of those things where it's just like, look, I'm not part of this world anymore. I don't play multiplayer games as well. So, like, I shouldn't even be talking about it because I just don't. I just avoid this stuff. I like to play. I just disagree with multiplayer games in general. I don't mind if you play it socially and that, but I'm just more worried about people who just non-stop play and they just refuse to try anything else out. But does it? Because
Well, the thing is, like, okay, so Fox, let me ask you a question. Outside of cosmetic only
yep.
microtransaction, what is a way that a game can still make money after it's released?
Have a digital version of it. So that
Mm-hmm.
so if the game was that good, someone goes, "Hey, this game is awesome. It's not available physically anymore, but you can still buy it digital." That's a release right there. And DLC, I guess, is another way as well.
Mm-hmm.
And making an expansion pack, and then just making a sequel, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because you're reusing the assets of most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's a DLC like The Witcher had. Yeah. Project Red's not
They're
they're
not.
not like hurting for money. They're not hurting for money
And
after their release of Witcher 3.
this is the argument. If you make a game good, people will buy Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you make your
Yep.
game half-assed, dumb people will buy it, and some people won't buy. And then that company's like, oh, but we need to put microtransactions to get people keep spending money on it. Whereas if they just made the
Mm-hmm.
game, in theory, if you make the best possible game in the world, more people are going to play it. That's I guess that's an in general rule. The incentive for making a good game is that people are going to buy it and play it, and they want everyone to play it.
Mm-hmm.
How many people have probably seen How many people have seen Lord of the Rings because they've heard it's one of the best films ever made, just because of that. So I'm sure the same with Witcher 3. I'm sure how many people have not played Witcher 3, but then they heard how great it was and how everyone wanted it, that it's forced people to play it. So if you make the game good, people are going to play it.
Kama said, as long as it doesn't give someone an advantage, I don't mind. It's not about advantage. It's about personal value on it, though. It's about personal value. It's about, like, it's like I said, it wouldn't make money if it didn't work. People place personal value on standing out in a multiplayer game, right? If like, if they were free, would people still use them? Absolutely, people would still use them, right? But it's the fact that they're paid for and people want to stand out in a multiplayer game. Not everyone wants to look like, not everyone wants, I don't play Overwatch. I haven't played it since the alpha, but like, do you want your tracer to look like everyone else's tracer if you play Overwatch enough? No, you don't. You want them to stand out,
Yeah.
right? And that's the actual value. There's still value in that. There's social value in that. Single player games should have DLC expansions if they want to expand the monetization. You say that, but what about games as service games that are coming out? Like,
Marvel trademark Avengers trademark.
yeah, that's technically, you can play that single player and they still monetize that. Like, it.
So yeah. Anyway, I think we've run to the end because there's not much else we can really say. Basically, microtransactions. Well, all right, final wrap up. I think microtransactions, most of the time, they're unethical.
Yeah, I think so too. Witcher 3 is not a games as a service. You're right, but that doesn't mean that. So here's the thing. Like I said, it's Here's my final thought. An argument that something is cosmetic only and therefore it doesn't matter, I think a flawed argument, because then that takes away the idea that there's social value in having your character stand out. And there's ways of monetization beyond just cosmetics only. Besides just doing cosmetic only microtransactions. That's kind of what I'm saying. And I know that single player and multiplayer are completely different. I get that. But all right, should we read some Q&A, some Discord responses?
Yeah.
All right. So this is about microtransactions.
Okay.
Jarvis said, I think any microtransactions in pay to play games are egregious. Drives me mad when people excuse them by saying it's just cosmetics. The FOMO is real in kids and adults alike, and there's social pressure to have the coolest skins, for example. Just because you personally don't feel the need to buy them doesn't mean they aren't problematic. It just means you aren't the intended audience. They are designed to get extra money out of people and when you have paid for a game at full price already, there's no excuse for it. Rant over.
Yeah.
Do you have a response for that one?
That's right. What they said that you're not the intended audience. That's perfect, because they know there's a demographic out there who I don't want to brag on them, and I don't want to sound mean, but they probably are way more liberal with their money, and they're easily manipulated into spending stuff on stuff that doesn't matter. It's the same as like a slot machine, or in Australia it's called pokies. You don't need to play it, but there is a set percentage of people out there who, when they hit that bing, 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 and putting those coins in there and dropping cash in there, and they see those screens scroll up, and then they don't win, but then they keep trying and trying and trying. There is a demographic out there, and these game developers have known that it's happening as well with I guess gaming as well, loot boxes and cosmetic skins. They know that there's I don't want to put percentages on people, but there's an audience of people who realize microtransactions are stupid. Then you got the audience of people who go, oh, it's all right. And you got the people like, oh, baby, let's get that Travis Scott skin in Fortnite. Let's go. So
yeah.
And I didn't mention this, the other thing. Did you know Fortnite's got timed skins as well? So sometimes you only have like a set week or two to purchase it. So it puts pressure on that kid to either steal their mum's credit card that week, or to like play the game hardcore to get those V-Bucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Yep.
Anything else?
Let's see. Camouflage. I don't like microtransactions, as a lot of games use them as in-game currency that over time can get addictive and very costly very quick. An example of this is FIFA games that use FIFA points as in-game currency that you can use to open packs, and the pack weight so low for the price, and it got to the point now that new FIFA games in the future can't have the in-game bought currency anymore, as people were saying it's just as bad as gambling. And I think that there's a difference between there's a difference between tying, we already mentioned this, tying like cosmetics and things like that to loot boxes. I think that that's a completely different topic. I think like the crux of like kind of this topic was you buy a game, you go onto their store, and you can pay $2 for a skin, and that's all it is a skin. And kind of the ethics of that, right? Like, I want to reemphasize a point, and Fox, feel free to kind of mention your own perspective on this. Like, I am at my core pro-consumer, right? I want businesses to put forward products that best fit me, the consumer. And I'm saying that from the perspective of understanding companies need to make money. I personally just think that companies can make money in ways that are more beneficial and less exploitative of consumers from a consumer's perspective.
Absolutely.
For example, paying $15 or $20 or $30 for a DLC, right, that adds a bunch of new content versus $31 skins, right? Things like that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Poppy mentioned about what's it called? Fall Guys, because Fall Guys has paid skins, and the game's, the game technically does cost money, even though a lot of people do get it for free for PlayStation Plus. But if you bought it on Steam, or if you only just download it now on PlayStation, you got to pay for it. Those skins. Now, can they be unlocked through the crowns, or do you have to pay for them? The KFC skins and all that. Because I know the Hotline Miami skin, you can unlock that just by winning. And then that goes back to my thing where some people can just buy the skin and some people can just use the crowns but you got to get the crowns by winning. Oh, so there's only
Here's the thing, like, okay, so an argument that we've seen a lot and I'd love to get your opinion on this, Fox, is the argument like, okay, well, how will companies make money after the game's released?
Okay.
It used to be you release the game, you sell the game, and that's how you made your money. So what's changed? The
development cost has gone up.
It hasn't, though. It hasn't. You could say that development cost has gone up, but also the market and the
amount of
people
gamers
actually purchasing the games has gone up as well, right? There's more people buying games than there were previously. Yeah. What changes is they want more money. That's exactly my point. So that's exactly my point. It's not consumer-friendly practices.
Remember back in Super Nintendo, I think the only games that sold like millions of copies was like Mario World, Street Fighter 2, and maybe Donkey Kong Country, and then maybe there's a couple of other games. But like now, like with PS2, like how many games were platinum? Like all the GTA games, a lot of the FIFA sport, all the FIFA games pretty much were, Final Fantasies. Like there's way more people now purchasing games, so the market share is huge now. It's huge. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. They're just trying to find money. I'm actually like, my brain's like worn out from this conversation. It's just like, it's like I'm actually like so fried right now.
Yeah. That was the only responses we got.
Okay, cool.
So, any final closing thoughts or anything else?
Microtransactions are bad. Okay.
Yes. Like I said, I'm more than willing to pay extra if I feel like I'm getting additional game content. You know what I mean? If it's in a consumer friendly way.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. All right. That's all I got.
All right, we're wrapping up the show.
Sounds good to me.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, everyone, joining in on the Chilidogcast episode 2. Thanks so much, man. We had some interesting conversations. My brain is actually like worn out. Like I'm boiling hot in this room. Like I need to get some I need some cold water inside of me and some fruit.